Hi everyone, it's Renee with Delaney Jane Cards. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have just a super fun project for you, showcasing how to use, partial images. I sometimes struggle when I get a stamp set and feel like I have to fit the entire image kind of to honor the artist, or I just can't quite get my headspace wrapped around the fact that you don't have to use the whole thing. Recently I picked up this Trinity stamp set called It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood from the Not Too Shabby shop. I will have it linked below. I also picked up the Brutus Monroe, what's it called? Balloon Ride. And I thought they paired really nicely together. But the thing that made me solidify this card idea was MFT had a kind of a sale going on, and I picked up the Amazing Airplane Die-namics and the Banner Flag Die-namics, and I knew that all three of these had to go together. So I started by stamping the houses, and you can see I didn't even stamp the whole houses because I don't need the whole things. And I'm coloring them in some kind of earth tones, and really these color combinations came from I redid my color chart and found a bunch of markers that I rarely reach for. So that's where these colors came from. I highly suggest, if you are in a slump with coloring, that you swatch your markers, that you redo your color chart, that you try a couple new blends, look for the juiciest markers and use those, and that might spark some creativity. So that's how these colors came to be. I'm going to leave most of the coloring in just because I enjoy coloring, and I know a lot of people do also enjoy coloring. But you can see I use like a green, like a army green combination on the one house, and I'm going to use like a magenta color on another house. And honestly, you can find a house in each of these colors in my neighborhood, and they are just kind of, I don't know, very current colors, I guess. This one got a little bright here at the bottom, but it is what it is. And I'm using this like blue violet, kind of grayed blue violet for the pairing for that. In that set from Trinity Stamps, there's like a mail carrier and mail truck and like a mailbox and a doghouse and all these really cute little images. But the images that I was more interested in were the houses and this garage. And there are actually 4 houses and a garage. And you can see here I only used parts of 3 of the houses and 1 garage. I just felt like it fit my card a little bit better. I'm also going to be making a slimline card. I know I've been making a few, well, I've been making quite a few lately. I was afraid of the size of a slimline card for a very long time, and now I'm feeling much more comfortable with them, and I really do like the creative space that there is, and I do like the trend in card making for new and differing size cards. I think it brings more fun to our little creative like hobby. So this house that I just colored is like a cream and a like a dusty teal color. Um, I thought it was, I don't know, very house-like. And then I'm going to do kind of a terracotta brown color here on this garage. I'm not sure in the end if it looks like a garage or a house, and that's fine. I didn't really care what if it read like a garage or a house, but I wanted the shape. And I thought it was perfect. You won't see a whole bunch of it, but I did like that terracotta brown color and then a brown roof. Now I'm adding a little bit of aqua to all of the windows, just kind of at a little bit of an angle just to add some brightness in. And here I'm going to color this balloon. Now in my mind I was thinking more along the masculine line of things, because of we're going to use an airplane. And I was like, well, what am I going to do for this hot air balloon? But I have been to balloon rallies, is what we call them here. When I was a kid, we used to go, we used to go every year up to this campground, and like a bunch of families used to camp together, and we would go watch them launch and land just tons of balloons. It's called a balloon rally, and I'm not sure if they have them everywhere, but here we had them. And anyway, back to, or all that to say, um, the balloons don't necessarily matter. You can have a male pilot on a balloon and it can be pink, or a female pilot on a balloon and it can be black. Just, I don't think it matters. And I don't think that this card is any more feminine or masculine based on the balloon color. So here's that little airplane, and I just went through kind of some scraps and cut out all the pieces. Now I did pull up the image on MFT's site and determined what pieces were what, because sometimes when you look at these tiny little pieces, it's really hard to determine. I cut out the airplane out of some actual wood paper. I forget who it's by, but I've had it for a very long time. I know I got it in a card kit from MFT several years ago. And I do believe it's like a self-adhesive back. I don't think I used it that way. And then I pulled out some tonic silver, like oh, what is it called? It's not polished. It's the brush silver, maybe. I also grabbed a piece of some scarlet cardstock from Tonic, which is kind of a mirrored finish, or satin. I think it's a satin finish. And then some glossy black, also from Tonic. Just little tiny scraps that gave me, you know, the colors that I needed. So these are like the little rims. Do planes have rims? My friend's husband works for an airplane manufacturer, and he is probably screaming right now if he's watching this, telling me what they are. But I'm going to call them rims, and I put them on the little tiny black tires. And this is where I had to like look at the site, because that little black like thing on the nose of the plane, there is a slight indentation where that should sit, but I wasn't sure because this is like wood paper, wood veneer, and it didn't emboss those lines very well. And then I also had to check to see where this like hardware for the landing gear actually adheres. And this is where it said, and I mean it turns out right. So I guess they know what they're doing over there at MFT when they design their dies. I love the MFT Die-namics. If you have a chance to grab them, I would highly recommend it. They just are good dies. They're good quality, and MFT has excellent customer service. So if you ever had a problem with anything, they would take care of it immediately. They're very good about that. So here I just used my reverse tweezers to ensure that that nose of the plane, the red piece, was adhered, because there's a little black piece underneath. I wanted to make sure that it adhered well. And then I added a little dot of glue to the propeller of my plane and stuck that underneath that little piece of black and got that all adhered together. Now, my flag dies, is that what it's called? Flag dies or banner dies? Banner flags, look at that. I left it all together and then I just die cut it out of white. I did die cut the little attacher piece out of a piece of scrap silver yet, but I had left it all together. And then I'm going to pull a stamp sentiment from a Pink and Main set, and this is called Special Day. It says, I think it says Time to Celebrate, and I just manipulated it so that it would fit on the shape of the banner that I decided to use. It took me a little bit to get it situated. And at first I was going to use the longer one, and then I decided on the shorter one. It fit my sentiment really well. So I had been kind of futzing with this. So the best way to do it is to set it down so part of your stamp is going the correct way, and then to manipulate the rest with your fingers to adhere it to the MISTI door or your stamp platform door or your block first, and then manipulate it. So you can see here I got a shape that fits the banner really well, like it's flying up in the sky. And I think that, I mean, I know that they have a stamp set that goes with this, but you can use anything really, especially our stamps now, you can manipulate them. They're not like wood blocks. So this is the little attacher piece. Like I said, I went ahead and cut that out of some remaining scrap off that silver, and I adhered those two together. And then I pulled up this Avery Elle set. It's a very old set. It's a Picket fence die set. It's one of the staples in my craft room. I just love that it's a scene builder set, and I don't think stamps and dies expire. They don't go bad, and it is a regular in my craft room. And then I just used a metal file. I have a metal file in my like turny spinny thing, and it's got a nice like rounded edge. Now this is a cloud die, and I needed some trees. So I decided to die cut these out of some green cardstock, and it's left over from a pink and main kit, so it would be basil cardstock most likely. It's got a texture to it, but by using this file, I was able to get kind of that look of additional branches and just kind of that puffy tree look by ink blending over, and I thought it was kind of a neat little addition. And then I had picked up this stencil from A Colorful Life Designs. It is their Cloud Edger die. It's super neat. It has realistic cloud looking edges, and you get both the inside and the outside. So you can use them in all sorts of creative ways. I think it gave me the most perfect sky, and I did it with the speckled egg, the newer distress oxide in speckled egg. I thought it would lend itself perfectly to a really beautiful cloudy sky, kind of clear blue cloudy sky kind of day. Does that make any sense? You know, like the perfect cloudy sky to go flying in anything, in a hot air balloon or an airplane. So I did do the entire panel because if we're going to do a sky scene, I know I have houses there, but it's going to be a sky scene because we want to use our partial houses. Now those whole entire houses, they're super cool, and I have used them in another card. I'm not sure if that will be a video or not, but I used the houses in their entirety, and they are super adorable, super easy to cut out. So if you didn't grab the coordinating dies, they're really easy to fussy cut. They're just simple shapes. But this, I wanted to use just the partial stamps and really showcase that you don't need to use the whole stamped image all the time. So here I'm just kind of laying them out. I wanted to see if my clouds would really look like trees, because I wanted them to look like trees. And I think I did make them look like trees. You'll have to let me know if when you saw this finished card, if you saw trees or clouds. Because, well, I'm curious. So here I'm just kind of placing things down. I wanted to see where I like them. I figured this is like taking a picture of what is up in the sky, and you know how sometimes at the bottom you would see like the houses that you cut off because you aren't a very good photographer, or anyway, I am not a very good photographer. So I placed those where I wanted them, and then I picked them up with a piece of Post-it tape, and I'm going to just add a little bit of liquid adhesive here. This has been my go-to adhesive for the last, I don't know, year or so. I kind of switch back and forth between a few of them, and I like the bottle on this one a lot. This particular bottle of glue, I have struggled with it getting clogged, and I did notice that near the end of these bottles, I have trouble with the tip of the bottle. I don't know, it gets kind of like stuck inside the top, and it gets all twisted or something. I'm not really sure how to explain it, but if there's a solution for that, I would value that information. So here I'm just adding my hot air balloon off in the distance, because it's like the basket is super tiny, so you know it has to be off in the distance for scale. But things like this work really well together, as far as scale of these houses and the airplane and all that. And you can see here my little wheel had come off because I clearly didn't wait long enough for my adhesive to dry before I was fiddling with everything. But I was like, well, that's kind of where I want it. So after that did dry sufficiently, I went ahead and adhered the airplane to the sky. Now I haven't done any shading on that airplane. That is real wood veneer, so when you do color on it, it does some weird things sometimes. Kind of the ink kind of is drawn into the natural, like what is that called? Grain of the wood. And then here I'm using some more of the stamp sets from that, or some more of the stamps from that balloon ride set. Like Flock of Birds are definitely from there, all the different birds except for that larger bird. That is from a newer Pink and Main set called Vitamin C. And I am stamping those in gray ink because I didn't want them to be prominent. I wanted them to be very much part of the background. I'm also taking some of the clouds from that Brutus Monroe balloon ride, and I'm stamping that in the speckled egg for the same reason that I use the gray in the background for the other images, just to kind of have them blend into the background, but yet, create some like definition. With that puffy cloud stencil, the outline of the clouds works really well. And then I have an oldie but a goodie here, a Zig chalk marker. This is super old. If you use it on black cardstock, it's really cool. You can see a little bit. In real life, it has a chalky finish and it just changes a little bit how the clouds look. But then I added a little bit of a silver lining to the bottom of my clouds with a Spectrum Noir sparkle pen. Just added just a little bit. I wanted to just add a little something. Like I said, this card was, I wouldn't say super masculine, but it's definitely not feminine either. Very gender neutral. So I didn't want to add it tons of sparkle, but there is shine in some of the cardstocks and stuff. And I think it reads fine either way. I don't think it really leans one way or another, which is, hard sometimes with what we have on the market to choose from. But if you're really careful with what you create, you can create anything. You can create a masculine card with feminine set, or some feminine card with a masculine set, or gender neutral with either. Here I'm adding some white gel pen detail to my images. I love the number 10 Jelly Roll pen. It happens to be my favorite. And I did just get a new one that isn't the new one there, and I'm like contemplating when I'm going to bust out the new one. This would be the inside of my card base, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp some of those same images that I used in the background of the front panel on the inside. First I stamped, I think, everything in this speckled egg, and then I'm going to go ahead and just stamp the birds with the gray again. And I believe this is Gravel Gray by MFT. And I'm also going to go ahead and stamp Oh Happy Day from that Pink and Main set, the actual big scripty word. There's two of them in that set. One is Celebrating You, the other is Oh Happy Day, and they go with all those coordinating sentiments, like the one that I used on the banner for the airplane. I just stamped that down, added another one of those big birds, and now I'm going to go ahead and adhere this card panel to my card base. I love how this card turned out. Like I said, I've been loving these slimline cards more and more, and I feel like this scene fills up a slimline card so nicely. And I really did enjoy using the partial images because it really framed my scene out well. Now, I did add some shading after this plane was on my card. Be careful with this because if you touch the background, you're going to color the background. But I was very, very, very careful and just added a little bit of some E markers, E40 family, to add a little bit of shading and definition. It does look a little darker in the video than it does dry back to, because the Copic marker is a little bit wet. And then I'm going to add some glossy accents to the windows just to add a little more shine, and a little more interest to this card. I really hope you enjoyed watching me create this card today. I hope you look at your stamps just a little bit different and decide that it's okay to use a partial image sometimes. And I value your opinion and chatting with you in the comments. So please let me know what your favorite part of this card was. And as I always say, give cards generously. Bye.